by the way, when I was choosing the parts for this computer, I did not default to the cheapest part I could find. That's not what I did. I defaulted to whatever was the fastest. I didn't bother with looking at the price. I simply went with what was fastest. That was my default. So you don't need to tell me, I could have got cheaper parts. I know that. I could have got a rig for $500. And I mean, you know, it's just like anything. You get what you pay for. And you know, with computers, tomorrow the price will be less. The day after that, the price will be even less. So in 6 months, what you pay $5,000 for, and today, in 6 months, you'll be able to get that for probably $2,000. That's a given. Everything in computers is like that. So yeah, I paid premium prices for these parts today. Okay, so now I'm going to install the CPU. It's this little deal here. And again, you want to be super careful with this thing, not to touch these connectors. Pull this little thing off there. Lift that up. And then there's only one way that this goes in there. And it's got these little notches here. So you can't put it in wrong. It just sets right in there. That back on. And put this little bar back down. Hold it in there really tightly. Okay, so here's the water cooling system that I'm going to put in there. This is the thing that goes on top of the CPU. It goes on there just like that, just right on top of it. Then there's these bars, there's two of these metal bars that set into the top of this, like that. And then these screw on to those standoffs that we put on there. And it holds this thing firmly on top, exactly levelly on top of the CPU. And then the water runs through this system, cooling it. And then the fan goes through this little radiator deal, or the water goes through the radiator, and then the fan blows air through that to cool the system. Okay, what I've done now is I've taken off the back fan here, and I mounted this cooler onto the case, and I also mounted that cooler unit on top of the CPU, put the brackets on top of it and screwed them down on those standoffs that we put there earlier. Okay, now I'm going to install the RAM. You go into the slots down here. You can probably barely see them, but which slots they go into you can find in the motherboard manual. Some of them can go in any slots, whatever you pick, some can't. These ones have to go in specific slots. And again, you want to push the RAM down evenly and straight. God forbid you just crack one off. Wreck everything. So. Okay, and then the fan comes with it. Attach this on top of that. Sides. Goes. Down. Plug that in. Right there. Okay, now I'm going to install CD-ROM drives, or DVD-ROM. This is the Blu-ray one. Just slides in there like that. And in this particular case, you just push a button and that secures it in there. This is the case. Just, okay. There's two connectors to these particular drives. I'll show you. On the back, there's this is the data cable. It's an SATA cable. It just plugs in there, and then that plugs in to the SATA spot here on the motherboard. It's actually here. Then, from the power supply, you plug this here is the power to this, and that comes from the power supply, which we'll do in a little while here. So now I guess I'm fitting to put in this power supply, which really is, like I said, it's a modular power supply. You only use the cables, plug in the cables that you use, rather than having this whole huge pile of cord. It's ridiculous. So this just goes here and gets screwed in the back, as you could might imagine. Just screw in the screws there. Screwdriver, tighten it. Here's the back where I had to attach that cooler for the CPU. I had to modify the back here. I had to cut out this this here, and then so I was able to because the original screws were here. That wouldn't work, so I had to monkey around with this to get these to work. You know, for this fan to screw into mount in the back, which is this cooler. But it worked. Okay. Now I'm going to mount the hard drives into the bays here. Just pull out and mount the case in the back or on top with these parts pointing out the back. And you just mount on there like that, and then you screw the screws into the bottom, and they just slide back in there. Here's the important part. The spike keeps everything moving, going along. Okay, now I'm gonna these cords go up to the power switch, the reset, and the hard drive light. So this motherboard comes with this little convenient thing, and I plug them in here and then plug that into the motherboard. So the main thing is the power switch there. Now this particular motherboard came with a little back plate that had an extra USB and FireWire plug-in, but the case also came with one on the front too. So I'm going to choose to use the ones on the front of the case because it already has like 6 USBs in the back and a FireWire, so I don't need more in the back. So I'm going to choose to go with the ones that came with the case, and they just plug into the motherboard, which is right here. It just says USB, and it can only go in one way. And so now I'm going to plug in the actual power for the motherboard, and this one has a little deal that you have to put that on there together like that. And then that plugs into the slot power cord on the motherboard. Okay, so now that I've finished up, I have everything put together and put in the case. There's the power supply, the video card, the cooler, the RAM. I plugged all this stuff in from the power supply into the video card, into the motherboard. I installed the hard drives, and I routed them out to the back, installed the DVD ROMs, and plugged those into the motherboard as well. Alright, and that's it. You can check it out.